for free a week. But if you want to support the channel, there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast or video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications option. Hit the thanks button to buy a super sticker. You can do this on the live chat too. You can also join our Patreon page or buy us a coffee at the link in all of our video descriptions below. We are also looking for sponsors. If you want our latest advertising rates and how you can get involved, then email John at nufcmatterspodcast1892@gmail.com. Thanks for
Hush now, city kids, gather round for urban myths. Hush now, city kids. When it came to me after so long, I didn't have no choices in the streets where I was from. When I think about the pain, I didn't have no choices, I took what I had sworn. Hush now, city kids, gather round for urban myths. Hush now, city kids. But you know, the wouldn't let you have it any other way.
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters. It is the Fans Forum, and as always, joined by fans around the UK and around the world to look back at the last 7 days at Newcastle United. And at the moment, good evening to Darren, Tom, Magnus, to Alan, to Jeff, to Barry, to George, and to you at home. And we are going to spend the first half looking back at the last two fixtures. And of course, Newcastle played Crystal Palace, won by 5-0, got themselves right in the mix with the Champions League places. Hit a bump in the road at the weekend with a 4-1 defeat at Aston Villa. So sweet and sour, George, is how I've described the last few days at Newcastle United. Still no Eddie Howe as well, and still no updates on how he's doing, which I guess has concerned a few people. We've just got to know that he's in the right place, as Jason says, and there'll be news when the club allow there to be news. But yeah, sweet and sour. So give us your views on both those games, George.
Well, both together. Well, the Aston Villa, not the Aston, the Crystal Palace one was a gift. I couldn't believe it in the first few minutes when I realised that Crystal Palace weren't going to press us. They just let us have the ball and to do with as we wanted, and the net result was we slaughtered them. It was 4 at half time. It could have been double that if they'd taken all the chances they created. I couldn't believe it. It was just it was lambs to the slaughter because there was no press, nothing at all. And I have to say, the more I see of young Mr. Gahey, the more I think that we dodged a bullet there. Although rumour is that we're still interested in him. Well, I'm not sure why. I would be really disappointed if we did, unless they can see something that nobody else can. And throughout that game, they just went hell for leather. And once again, the outstanding player on the pitch was Tonali. I mean, he has the not just the skill and the vision. He has the engine. I mean, just towards the end, there was one run he made from our penalty area. He ended up in their right hand corner of their defence. And he just left every defender in his wake. Nobody could keep up with him. It was just unbelievable, and great. And some of the touches were just sublime from a number of players. And some of the goals are really memorable. I mean, Jacob Murphy's, you could see from behind him where that was going to go from the off. And then Harvey Barnes too. he's just not just his pace, but the way he finishes, the way he puts his foot through the lace and the ball, makes it almost unstoppable, and made it all such a pleasure. The second half, Palace did press, and the net result was they held us back. But by then, I think Jason had already decided to take his foot off the pedal a little bit, and do things slightly different way. But it was a majestic win, absolutely superb, and let's have more. But certainly, I could watch that all day. That first half was just incredible. As I said, the only fault I have is that it was only 4. Could have been a lot more, but absolutely superb. Then we move on to what you're calling the sweet and sour. Well, the biggest sour thing about the Villa result is that it was who beat Aston Villa. I cannot stand Aston Villa. In this history of antipathy between Aston Villa and Newcastle, people think it just goes to the time they had the promotion thing and they did the tears on the Tyne and poster and all that sort of thing. No, it goes a long way. I can remember incidents back into 1949 when Aston Villa and Newcastle were at loggerheads. So there's some deep-seated memories in there that create this thing. And as I said, that was the worst thing for me. I really did think we would come up with it, but I had one worry, and I think, I don't know if I mentioned it on here, I certainly did on one of the other programs, that my worry was we'd had 6 games on the run, 6 unchanged teams, and in the way we play, that just might catch up with you, and I think that's what happened on Saturday. I'm not going to be over downhearted about that loss. We're still comfortably riding towards third place. If anybody said to me that we were going to win 22 matches out of 25, I would have been cheering from the housetops. So I'm still cheering from the housetops. As I say, the downside is who beat we, and looking at how we beat. Well, it's difficult to choose anybody that really performed. Again, Tonali came close, but once Villa put pace on, they just overran Dan Burn and Fabian Shaw. The last 20 minutes, they just didn't exist. And I'm convinced that, and have been for a couple of games now, that our centre forward, Alexander Isak, is actually, I don't think he's 100% fit, to be perfectly honest. They could have took him off on Saturday, and I don't think we would have noticed. That's always tragic. But I don't want to be over critical. They've performed miracles since the cup final, and I'm convinced that it's a glitch. They'll come back and still get into Europe in the way that we want. It is, you can pick holes in Dubravka for some of the goals, but again, I don't want to dwell on the performance of individuals. It was one of those games where not just one of the top performers didn't perform; they all did it together. So if we're praising teams for victories, the team's got to take the brickbats for the losses as well. But we were in the end overrun, is the honest answer. As I say, my biggest criticism, or not criticism, the biggest part of what I don't like about it all was who did it. Aston Villa of all people, but I fully expect us to recover and still win the matches we need to get into that European Championship place. I'm still think we'll get third place, and indeed if we can beat Arsenal at Arsenal, who knows what it might do, because it wouldn't take much. A couple of games even now at this time of the season changes things. So yeah, it was a miserable defeat, and yes, there was some miserable things happening, but I'm not going to let it crush my season. As I say, somebody said to me, we'd be winning 22 games out of 25. I'd have been signing up for that straight away. So recover, lads, and put the smiles back on my faces is what I'm looking for.
Okay, Barry, 2 games to look at. Crystal Palace, Newcastle dispatched them 5-0, but goal difference took a little bit of a hammer on at Villa Park.
Yeah, I mean, the Palace game was everything you want from a Newcastle fan, don't you? We looked fresh. We were going forward. We were attacking. Murphy and Barnes both playing out their skin and showing why Gordon can't straight away get back into the team, because they were doing everything you wanted from them. Murphy continues his purple patch, hopefully as long as possible. Just everything. I totally agree with George about the Palace game. The midfield 3 looked and showed why that a lot of fans are saying they're the best 3 in the Premier League this season, not just Newcastle fans, right the way across the board, because when they're on form, they look pretty much unstoppable. Because now they're interlocking, and obviously they're building off the strengths of the 3 of them, and they're playing different roles. Which to start with, the worry with Tonali and Bruno was that they were too similar, but now I think they've got them sorted where they play a very specific role in the team, and they just look class, Dave. Against Palace, we've had problems with them in the past. Palace aren't a bad side, and there are times when they've embarrassed us and made us look as though we're really struggling. But right the way across the pitch against the Palace game, we looked sound. Trips had a good game. I thought Livramento was played quite well. The scoreline, I think it was realistic for the way we played. I thought we had a cracking game. I totally agree with George. I think Isaac's not 100%. I think he's getting played basically because we've got nobody else, or nobody who they think should be in that position. I think they're chancing on him playing with an injury, and he still looks far better than the other 2 choices we've got, which is a shame, because I think it says a lot about Wilson, and it says possibly even more about Salah that, you know, he's not getting a game at all. I mean, I'm not a great fan of the lad anyway. I know a lot of people say that there's a lot of optimism there, and he's potentially will be a great player in the future, but he's not a young kid anymore. He's not 17, 16, 18-year-old. He's not Lewis Miley's age. You know, he's 20-odd. I don't know if he will make it. We've had a lot of strikers in recent years that have promised an awful lot, but when they've gotten to that on the verge, like the likes of Adam Armstrong, where you think they're going to be the next big thing, and they've never actually fulfilled it. I hope he does, because I like the kid. I think his attitude is absolutely spot on. His whole thing. He obviously gets the club, gets the fans. So I hope he does, but I don't see it myself. And then, like George said, I have to hold my hands up, Steve. I was out and missed the Villa game. All I've seen really is the goals. And obviously listened to you guys yesterday. I mean, I was down in the dumps till I listened to Mr. Penman, as usual, on the professionals, lifted us back up again, because he puts across such a positive outlook on it, and obviously reminded us that, look at what we've done recently. Yes, the Villa game might be a blip, but at the end of the day, we've been on a bloody good run, and we've been using the same players week in, week out, right, left and centre, because we've got nobody else. So after listening to you guys yesterday, Steve, I'm not as down as I was. I think George is right. It had to be bloody Villa, didn't it? It's not. It's one of those bogey teams for us. But at the end of the day, they're a good team. They've got a good manager. They were well organised. They knew exactly what to do to take the game away from us, and they did it. I think as well, another thing that obviously you guys talked about yesterday was the financial side of how Villa have taken that risk. They've signed the players. They've brought in big names. They've took a chance on Rashford on his huge wages. It could well come back to bite them at the end of the season, because they're playing on that tightrope of getting done for their finances now. So that for me is the risk that we haven't taken, if you like. We've stayed clean, and we've tried to do everything by the books, which thankfully is working just as well as what Villa's is, because we're still up there, we're still battling. But yeah, I can't really comment too much on the Villa game, Steve, because I didn't see it, so I'll let it go across to Darren.
Okay, Darren, 2 games to look at, mate. I did this especially for you, just in case you were too negative. So yeah, 5-0 against Crystal Palace.
Again, I thought Thursday against Crystal Palace, I didn't expect to win 5-0. You know, I said 1-1. I'm sure Murray was aiming for me on his goal because if that net wasn't there, the ball was going to hit me. So, do you know what I mean? So I'm glad the net was there because the ball would have hit us. But you couldn't follow me because the Palace we turned up. Crystal Palace didn't. Like George said, we could have won more. If he's like injured, but it just shows like that he doesn't trust Wilson and Sugla. So it mustn't be that serious he's injured because he's playing strained. So if we want to finish in the top 5, he needs to play. I say against Crystal Palace, we play good football. Everybody knew their position, where to play, what to do. So you couldn't fault them. But Palace was dreadful. To be fair, I was expecting more from them. And the centre half we're linked with, I wouldn't be going for him now because he looks dreadful. The last few games I've watched him, yeah, he looks absolutely shocking, doesn't he? Now talk about Aston Villa. Well, you could tell in the first 20 seconds, Murphy doesn't win a 50-50 ball. It sets the tone. He wins that 50-50 ball. It sets the tone for the team. And then Tonali gets the ball. He passes straight to them. So it was errors all over the game. Shaw should have been sent off, I think. Bruno should have been sent off. We just didn't turn up, to be fair. Unfortunately, when we lose, we get battered every time. And I do believe it's, you can be high critical how we played, what player did what, who did what, out of positions. So what? It's an off day, and we're still third, fourth in the league, whatever. And I'm still happy with the season. You know what I mean? Like, bounce back next week against Ipswich. But I think if we get it, we're going to get Champions League. I think it'll be 5th or 4th. We'll not catch. I think we'll lose against Arsenal. We draw against Brighton. That's what I think. And win the rest of our home games. But it's like you say, like you see Newcastle weakness straight away. If anybody got any pace against Shaw and Burn, it's going to happen straight away. We all know the positive.
You're on the head, Darren.
Well, I know the positive with Newcastle, but the negativity showed it on Saturday. Where that negativity is. If you've got any players running at them, they're knackered. Because I think Shaw should have been. I think he's a red card all day for Shaw. I think Bruno should have been sent off. He was doing daft little tackles. How he got 1 yellow card was beyond me through the game. And I think Villa got the tactics right, to be fair. They didn't play the first man, they played the second man. And we didn't have answer for it. So we didn't turn up. You can be highly critical out of position, in position. I'm sorry, but it's one of them things we got beat fair and square by the better team. Unfortunately, it's fucking Villa. Sorry, excuse me language, Steve. But I'm annoying because I hate Villa. I passion like George. So there you go. That's my. That's all I can say, Steve.
Okay, Darren. Tom, 2 games, 1 win, 1 defeat, and I think tiredness played a big part. 3 games in 6 days, same 11 playing in every game, which is we know is going to affect us. But Aston Villa as well, take nothing away from Aston Villa. A very good team, as we know, a team which, like us, is going to be a regular, I think, in the top 6. I think Aston Villa and Newcastle have replaced Manchester United and Spurs and will probably stay there for many, many years. But yeah, your feelings on those 2 games?
Well, Palace was terrific. For the week, it's 6 days. We got 6 points, 6 out of 9. I think a lot of us were thinking 7 out of 9 would have been a really good week. So we did well, right? So against Palace, I was particularly impressed because off the 3 days, we have some really old legs on our team, and they played very, very well. So a couple weeks ago when Shar got the contract, I mentioned he never plays well the second game in a week. It just because he's older, your legs go. I think that could be said for Trippier as well. Dan Burns is a little bit different, but Trippier and Cher, they get their legs get tired because of their age and the way they play. And Wednesday they were spectacular. So I think you could look at a lot of the players that played on Wednesday against Palace that had terrific games. Certainly the two wingers that we had, the entire midfield. Tripp, Shar, Tino, Byrne, they all had really, really good games, and a 5-0 score was the result of it. So we looked up for it. I thought for 3 days or a couple of days rest, 3 days later playing, that they did really, really well. Shocked at Palace, to be honest, how lethargic they looked. That penalty by Eze, or however you pronounce his name, that was never a penalty. I just want to throw it out there. That was not a penalty. That was awful. That was the worst penalty.
I think it was a penalty. Sorry, I think it was a penalty.
Well, we disagree a lot, Darren, but I respect your opinion, and I think we put it through a straw poll. Toon fans would say it probably wasn't a penalty, and Palace fans say it certainly was. But so it's one of those. But I thought the penalty was awful. I thought they looked lethargic. But look at the run of games they've been having, and they were looking again for another game, big game after that. So I think they were kind of in the same state of mind, both physically tired, mentally tired, emotionally tired going into that match and playing at a really tough place, which is St. James Park. And then you go 3 days later against Villa, and we looked a lot like that Palace team. We were slow. We were mentally slow. We were physically slow. I think, a little bit emotionally drained, except for Bruno, who was way too emotional for that game. I agree 100% with Darren, is that we had a couple of players that could have had straight reds. Maybe not straight reds, but accumulated reds for that and Cher and Bruno. So really excited about Wednesday. I thought they overproduced, and then it all came crashing down against Villa. I'm a little bit different than George and Darren and a lot of the people on the audience is I hate Saba the Tyne. I hate that portion of Villa. But I look at them and crash in the Big Six cartel, just like we are. And I don't hate them that much. I hate the Liverpools and the Man Uniteds of the world, the Arsenals of the world, much more than I do Villa. And we went there. We played against a tough stadium, against a good team that had an extra day of rest, that most importantly is younger, maybe a little bit deeper bench than we have, particularly because they rested some players that played for them on Tuesday. And I think that we kind of, it didn't surprise me. And when we gave up the score, in the first minute, my wife turned to me and said, well, that's it done then, because she could just tell the shoulders sagged on the collective group that was out there. So the players that played so well on Wednesday that I mentioned, the older players, the Shar, Murphy, who's over 30, Trips, even Joe Linton, he's not older, but they were really, really mentally fatigued. They made so many mistakes. We gave away the ball so simply, so often that I blame it on Richard Masters, and I blame them not letting us invest in our squad, because playing 3 matches in 6 days is going to really stress the best of teams. And as everybody has said, and as you said yesterday, Steve, is when you play the same 11 every game and then have them play 3 in a week, even if you are a top-class team, and we are, you're going to have a letdown. So I'm not so disappointed. It's a one-off, I think. We have a really nice space of games. We got 1 game a week for the next 5 weeks. The guys are going to be rested. We could afford to play our best 11 each and every game. And so I'm not too down about it. I think it's a one-off. We're going to crack on starting next Saturday.
Okay. Pablo?
Hi, guys. All right. The Villa game, the Palace game, looking at the 2 games as a collective, I think we've probably emptied our tank against Palace. I mean, we got into our swing and we were moving it around. Lovely football. I think when we look at the way the Palace game shaped with the penalty incident, I mean, I know obviously you guys were contesting whether it was a penalty, and the unfortunate thing is, yes, it is a penalty. It is a soft penalty, but this is my gripe with Nick Pope. You know, you keep leaving yourself open for these kind of decisions going against you. Thankfully, obviously the lad chose the wrong style of penalty. Pope saved it, and it was a fantastic reaction from us because we then kind of got the wind in our sails, and then we absolutely blew them out of the water. I don't think Palace were particularly good. They were having an off day. We got our tails up and we absolutely sailed through it. Like I said, I think we exerted probably a little bit too much looking back over the two games, because certainly the Villa game, from as much as, you know, we look at it from a whole, if you'd asked me on Saturday, obviously I was disappointed. The football teams got beat. Not only have we got beat, we've got beat 4-1. And that never sits well with me, to get beat 4-1 by any club in your division. Certainly not a club that's 2 or 3 places below you or above you. But when you look at it with a little bit of common sense, the Villa game, as a collective, you know, you can't handpick 1 or 2 players that had poor games and mistakes. And it was a full collective of, we've just completely, you know, we've played 3 games in 6 days. I don't think there's a team probably in the world that could put the same 11 out for them 3 games and expect top performance. You know, you might have got away with it at Real Madrid or Barca, but I certainly think the way we are as a squad, and a kind of where we are in our development, I think probably what Jason's done is thought he's in this big situation as being number 1 at the minute. Maybe he could have made changes to freshen up the legs before it. Maybe Eddie would have done. We don't know. And I just think he's probably tried to go with a little bit of safety and thought, these lads have got me 6 games unbeaten now. Let's try and roll that dice again and see if it works. And I think it was obvious from the outset, all over the pitch, we were a yard behind mentally, physically. As soon as we got the ball, we give the ball away. We couldn't get the ball back. And it was just one of them games. It just unfolded into a bit of a nightmare, really. And I felt sorry for them at the end, because you could tell they had no more to give, you know, and you can't be harsh on something like that. I mean, the key to all this is, we've got 5 games left. If you'd have said to me at varying times this season, you've got 5 games left, you're still 3rd, you've won a cup, there isn't one of us on the panel that wouldn't have snatched your hand off for that. So I think looking at it from outside the bubble of Saturday, you know, we're still in the right direction, we're still heading the right way. But the big key part to this is Ipswich Saturday. It's how we now come back from that. And I just hope that he's given them extended period off after the weekend, because I think probably the lads have witnessed that on Saturday, and their morale will probably be on the deck. And I just hope we can get it together. But yeah, there's not really much more to say, lads. You know, we've got to move on. We're in that position. To use that cliche, there's 5 cup finals. So what? We've lost a game. There's 5 more to put it right, and we're still in a decent position. The problem being is that all the teams around us this weekend have bloody picked up points. They've all won, which has just kind of given that little bit more pressure and tension. But hopefully we'll thrive on that. But yeah, I'll leave it there. And can I say a big well done to Blackburn Rovers this afternoon? give me a little smile. But yeah, I'll move on to Kev. He can probably tell you more.
Well said, Pablo.
All right, Kev.
Well, I don't know if I can talk about the Villa game because I didn't see it, but for half an hour, so I think I got the best bits with our goal. But no, going back to the Palace game, I thought really once we got ahead in the game after the Eze miss, I think we fully controlled it, and you know the scoreline didn't flatter us in one bit. Played some like the lads have said, played some wonderful football. I'm not disagree with Pablo a little bit. Maybe not emptied ourselves, but again, that type of physical game against that maybe takes its toll. But that's the side I agree with you on, but not in terms of the way we play. It just come to the point where that they've reached the physical limit, if that makes sense. So I kind of agree to disagree, but you know. The Villa game, thankfully, I really didn't watch it. I'll move on to that briefly. And the word I'd use was humbled, and brought back down to earth a little bit, and really realize what it takes to play those 3 games in a week or 2, whatever it is. Because if we're going to get into the Champions League, this is the expectation that we're going to have. Now, unfortunately, we haven't got the squad depth to do that. We all know that. Whoever said there was a safety blanket, I think, by Tyndall is to keep same as normal. Don't change it too much, because I don't think he would want to take the risk to put like a Sean Longstaff in, or or Emil Kraft. Yes, they'll run and work hard, whatever, but they haven't got the quality like Villa have across the board to basically, spank us, to be fair, and fair play to them. I'm not a big fan of Aston Villa. Don't really like them based on our relegation season and what they've done there, and, from historical perspectives. But again, big football club, striving for the same things what we're striving for. We could have played super negative. We could have been 5 at the back. We could have played low blocks, played in the counter-attack. We could have done all sorts of things. I seen it after half an hour that they were going to go long and win the ball underneath and win second balls. And they've done that. The Tonali clearance was poor. I thought he just could have put it into row Z and we'll just defend a throw-in and deal with it that way. But we couldn't. From what I looked at from highlights and the game that I've seen was the isolated Fabian Schär and Trippier in between that channel. From what the bits I've seen, they just isolated them two because they knew. We know. I mean, I could probably run faster than, both of them combined, or most of us could, so they isolated those two. They knew that Murphy would have to drop in, but they didn't go down our left, their right as much from what I saw. And that's where the goals came from. They just got the ball wide and we couldn't stop the crosses. No, it was per normal. Diving in, individual errors. The first goal was a bit poor for me. And it is what it was, a massive deflection. Post can't really do anything about it. But you just knew from then they were just going to pepper our right side, deliver the balls into the box. Ollie Watson was pretty much unplayable in that first half, or pretty much all game from what I've seen. They hit the bar, they hit the post. So again, look, it's a game of football. At the end of the day, we got beat 4-1. We'll just have to take it, move on, and with a silver lining, we've got Ipswich coming up, which would be a nice little rebound going into the next 5 games, which will give us another potential springboard of, however, maximum points from that. Yeah, we'll go down to Arsenal. I think we'll probably get a draw down there. But for the rest of it, I watched Chelsea yesterday and I watched others. It's not that great. There's an opportunity here to get maximum points from all of our games outside of the Arsenal game. I think that'll be the obviously now the tougher one of it. But if we get a point there, and then what's that? So, yeah. 15, 18 points, something like that, whatever, something like around that neighborhood, then we can really push on to cement third position. Again, tonight's game is going to be interesting. Watch and see how which Tottenham team show up. You just don't know. They've got through into the Europa League semi-final, so they should be on a buoyant mood, hopefully. You just don't know. But again, we can't rely on other teams. We can't rely on other things, scenarios and this and that, the what-ifs, the maybes. All what we can do is control our own destiny, and it's in our hands for the next 5 games. But yeah, like the lads have said, not really. I'm disappointed. Yes, we lost. Nobody likes to lose. But at the end of the day, you're going to get beat at some point. It's just part and parcel of the game, and you have to move on. And it's how we respond now to move forward against Ipswich and the other 4 games is what they want at the end of the season. Do they want Champions League football, or they're just going to be 5th, maybe not even 6th? But where do you want to finish? And it's up to them. Then hopefully we'll do that.
Okay, Burnley 2, Sheffield United 1 is the half-time score in the Championship game. If it stays like that, Burnley and Leeds will be promoted. Sheffield United will be in the playoffs with the Mackhams. Middlesbrough missing out as well of the playoff story at this moment in time after getting beaten today. 2 games left. It'll be interesting to see whether they can claw their way back in. We'll go to Jeff now, who's had webcam issues. Jeff, good evening. Your review on the last couple of games.
Well, I think we should starting with Crystal Palace, doing it in chronological order. Well, what a disparate group of players they've got. That's half the problem. I can't work out what connects them. And, they were just a sort of strange bunch. And, their top player is the league's top strawberry blonde, Mr. Hughes there. He wasn't very impressive. I thought VAR had something to do with clear and obvious errors and things like that. Right? Can we spend 5 minutes trying to get them a goal? Right? And it resulted in one of the classic Mojo top 10 worst penalties ever. It was fantastic. They really deserved that. I thought Pope did well overall. And we were in danger of breaking YouTube's rules on bullying. It was just getting quite embarrassing for the poor lads. And they still wanted more. I mean, I'm really impressed with the way Joe Linton works. His interceptions and turns are quite spectacular. I mean, the days of Scotty Parker doing a circle in the middle of the field are well gone. We just turn and attack. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And you need a tranquilizer gun to get him off the field. He's a real beast. Right. And Marteta in a mask was a bit funny, but we'll leave that out. Right. Villa Park. Oh dear. Well, let's be honest. Watkins had the game of his life. That was a fantastic thing. And I think going down a goal straight that early was a bit of a shocker. And their philosophy, I loved it. Their philosophy was it's our pitch and we're going to defend it. Right? They put on an excellent display of that's our pitch. You've got to, a good proper team sponsored by a bookie, as I noticed. So poor old Dan was ineffective, but I'm particularly disappointed in Bruno. He was petulant, ineffective, losing possession, doing stupid passes. He was lucky to stay on the pitch. And I'd have to say, well done, the ref. The ref did a really good job of just let a lot of things go, kept the game flowing. It wasn't to our advantage. And a quick word for the fans. The travelling fans were still singing. You could still hear them at the end. We'll support you evermore. Well done, lads. And Tonali gets my man of the match. He just keeps going. I don't think he did much wrong, to be quite honest, given that we were being bombarded. And not that I want to say anything wrong about being too many Mitchells in football, but since we've got a set-piece coach, it's all gone to bits, right? We just can't seem to get anything. There was one good set-piece we did. Oh, that was nice. About 3 weeks ago, right? But since then, it's just been carnage. The ball banging around. And, you can't do these clever shots into a packed penalty area. You've got to be so accurate. And all our best goals come from open play. All the best stuff we've seen has been people attacking down, knocking it into funny angles, running through the middle. That's the way it should be. And apart from that, I think it's it was strange. I went outside after the match. I take Rexicles out for a walk, and the birds are still singing. The world's still carrying on, and you think it's like a death in the family. You think, oh right, yeah, the rest of the world carrying on as normal. Anyway, best forgotten. Let's move on.
Okay, Jeff. Thanks for your great review as always. We're moving on to Alan. Alan, your feeling on the last two games?
Well, like most of the lads have said, chalk and cheese, lads, isn't it? Palace was fantastic. I totally agree with Tom and Jeff about the penalties and with Palace. I mean, if it's clear and obvious, why did it take 5 minutes? If it was a clear penalty, to me, it wasn't a penalty. Yeah. So if it was clear and obvious, it should. VAR comes into play again about why is it used. Palace was fantastic. I mean, Murphy's first goal was fantastic. Slightly disagree with one point Jeff made. The fourth goal was a great set-piece goal, Jeff, by Murphy swinging it in, to be fair. True, yeah. But, overall, I mean, I thought it was going to be a nervy 2-1, and it was nothing but a sort. It was absolutely brilliant. So I was over the moon. We're sitting pretty. We're 5 points clear of some of the teams in below us. And then you come to Villa, who basically, like I said last week, I detest. And just like George, I mean, history goes back for me, George and the lads, is I was in a bar when I was about 19 and this grown bloke comes straight up the whiz. And I was wearing a Newcastle top and he was a Villa fan. He basically abused us in front of my parents. and I was gobsmacked. I hadn't spoken to this person. He was just saying Villa far better. And basically, the gist of it, we were crap and shite, and it stuck with us for the rest of my life. And I've had a couple of more incidents like that in my life, and the sub on the time was just the final straw for us. So to be honest with you, that's why I detest Villa so much in my life. Not that I've got anything against some of the YouTubers. I find when I see the YouTubers, the Villa fans are, just as good as what we are. But the actual average, some of the Villa fans I've met and in my life personally have been absolutely obnoxious. That's why I hate them so much. But getting to the football, the Villa game, Emery done a masterclass on where Kevin hit the nail on the head with directing the play. As soon as we lost the ball, Julian was absolutely shocking with his passing, lads. Absolutely shocking. The mantra was get the ball straight to Rodgers, straight to Watkins, down the flanks, down the isolate Trippier, isolate Byrne and Shaw. And I've said it, and the lads have said it on this show. The 33, 34, 33, they're all in the autumn of their careers, lads. And when you've got pacey players like that, you're going to be exposed. And then everybody's been praising our midfield for the last 3 or 4 weeks as the best in the league. Just bypass them. Just bypass them, and that's what he did on that game. He just bypassed them as any good coach would. Villa deserved the win, lads. It was tremendous by them. But, like I said on the show last night, Steve, my remark was 3 years, we're virtually certain to be in the top 7 for the 3rd year in a row, and a trophy as well. How can anyone complain about that? We've got 5 games to go. It's like starting all over. It's a mini season, and we've got a great chance of being in the top 5. I think if we win the next 3 games, it's certain. So I think we should all de-stress because, like Pavlo says, the league's all compressed now after getting beat, and everybody else has won this weekend. So we're all like looking at the league table, who can we win and who can lose and things like that, and we're all getting stressed. But the lads have given everything, and normally after a 4-1, I'd be ranting and raving. How can I? The lads have been superb. If anybody had said to me after getting beat at Brentford in November when we're 12th in the league that we'd win a trophy and would be 3rd in the league, I wouldn't have believed you. So we've got to just hold on, take it as it comes, next 5 games and give it our all. And if we're finishing the top 5, lads, what a tremendous season it's been for everybody in the chat. We'll all be over the moon. So I'm not too disappointed. Just like George and the lads have said, it had to be Villa. If it had been a Fulham or Bournemouth again, I wouldn't have minded it so much. But they are what we are. And you hit it on the head, Steve. They're going to be challenging with us for the next few years, without a doubt they are, because they've been able to buy and sell, Steve. We haven't. And it comes to the point where we've got 4 or 5 players we desperately need replacing. And if somebody puts a £25 million bid in for Murphy, I'd sell him tomorrow, like I said on the show last night, Steve, because
Villa are going to be in massive financial trouble this year, Alan.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, George, we must start trading players to get.
Oh, absolutely. I don't disagree about that. But it'll be a big sale at the end of this year for Villa. They can't keep Rashford. They're already saying that.
No.
97% of their 97% of the incomes going on salaries. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened to Leeds when Leeds disintegrated.
Mm-hmm. But overall, George, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm delighted. It's a blip. Absolutely. I'm disappointed, like we all are.
Absolutely.
Gutted it's them, but we'll move on. Ipswich, and we'll all be a lot happy if we beat them on Saturday. And looking forward. I'm looking forward to the game tonight, lads. Hoping Spurs win and or draw, and then everything to play for with 5 games to go, Steve.
Okay, I do chuckle every time I see Magnus getting ready to come on, because the chat starts to come alive with people going testing 1 2 1 2. Magnus is lubricating his voice, says Mick Millian, which is pretty. There we go. Ian Brownlee, Iceland incoming, testing 1 2 1 2.
1 2 3 1 2 3. Do you read me loud and clear?
You've become a legend on this program. Give us your views, Magnus, please.
Yeah, I mean, this was a perfect example of we win together and we lose together, and we probably took it a game too far on the same human resources. We're putting the pressure always on the same lads. For me, the Crystal Palace game was perfect. We have a great record under the lights at St. James's Park, and long may that continue. We seem to always put in a performance, under the floodlights, and Harvey Barnes has been absolutely sensational. We've been speaking a lot about Jacob Murphy and the national team. Where is he in the discussion of that? After the few performances that he's made, and like he's right there after Alexander Isak in the on the scoring. So well done for Harvey Barnes and taking the opportunity when he finally got one, because for the first time in a while, we got a great competition for spots in our team, and I really thoroughly enjoyed that game. Sandro Tonali, I'm still talking Crystal Palace, absolutely sensational, and I will still say I am very entertained with the way we are going, and it takes a lot more to upset me than one bad result. Spring is in the air. Sun has been shining. For the first time, I had a barbecue for Easter dinner. I don't know if I've ever done that in Iceland, but I managed to just do that. With regards to the Aston Villa game, it was a collective loss as well. We probably took it a game too far, and we could see a little bit the difference on the teams, because Aston Villa, even with a more workload and more games to play, they've had a huge squad and availability to rotate. So you could even see this is exactly where we need to be aiming. We need, even if we buy one or two players in the summer, this has to be where we are heading, because although we have improved a lot, because our squad has been healthier, but we haven't probably added enough players so that it's 11 for 11. And that's where we need to be heading, because, we played 3 games now and we really felt it. We really felt it playing 3 times a week. And to be able to compete on that stage in the future, we definitely need more players. And I am still not disheartened by this result. I'm going to say, like Glasner said against us, I'm going to chuck it in the bin, forget about it. All in all, we got 12 points in the last 15. We won 19 of the last 25. That's sensational. It's brilliant, and we got 5 games to go, and we're right on track of. I don't know if you guys remember when we did the last 10 forecast. We're right on track, George, with a 10 with a 25 points. So we can only afford one more draw.
Absolutely.
And I think one of those draws might happen away. And for me, I am seeing victory the rest of the season. So I'm really optimistic, and I can see us getting 13 points, and I think we need to be aiming for nothing less.
Okay, good stuff, Magnus. I'm going to come to you first for the prediction for Newcastle's match against Ipswich this weekend. How do you see the game going at the weekend, Magnus?
Yeah, I mean, nobody's untouchable for this game, and for the first time, nobody has a fixed spot in the team. So this might be an opportunity either for Anthony Gordon or even Martin Dubravka after the last showing. So for me, I think we still have a lot more quality than this team. I'm saying 3-0 for sure. And I'd like to see how Delap plays, because everybody's eyes is on that lad, and he can be bought for a decent price in the summer. If that's something we're looking at, then he has an opportunity to show us what he's all about. But I'm saying still 3-0, and if anybody scores, may it be Delap.
Yeah.
Okay, just before we come to you, Alan, I just want to ask Barry, what on earth was that you picked up and showed to the screen? Yeah, on mute, so I can't hear you.
It's anybody
it's a Darren doll.
Oh, I know who it is.
It's a Darren doll.
It's Walter.
Walter, Jeff Dunham, yeah?
That's it. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
I can't even.
it's the American ventriloquist.
Yeah.
Make us speak about Jacob Murphy.
I forgot it was on the back of the chair till I saw the comment, and I thought, "Oh God, what have I done?"
Looks like George, says Jackie Nicholson. Tim
Oh,
says, Christ, the George look
Thanks
alike.
very much. Looks like George. Great.
Tilly says,
Goodness
Darren,
gracious.
is he replacing Jeff?
I'll set the George Angels on there.
Steve Middlemiss, George look alike. It's Paul Gallant, says Mark Byers. Paul's in the chat, of course. Lots of comments from everybody. So we'll move on, Alan, before this starts to get out of hand. Alan, your prediction for the weekend?
Well, I'm predicting a 3-1. I think Magnus has hit the nail on the head. I think they'll give us permutations of just because, basically for the second year in a row, Steve, we could probably take a team down. Like last year it was Sheffield United, but if we win on Saturday, they'll go down as well. So I think they'll put up a fight, but I think we'll come through and win 3-1. And I hope that'll steady the ship. And then hopefully, if the results go our way tonight and tomorrow, we might be a few points away from some of the sides below it, and the picture will look a lot rosier.
Okay. Denise wants to know why on earth Barry has the doll.
Yes, good question.
His own guilty pleasure.
I'm a huge Jeff Dunham fan, and I bought it for next to out.
All right, there we go. Paul Gallant is taking full admission. He's saving George's bacon. He says, yes, Mark Byers, it is me. There we go. I'll let you carry on with the chat. Kevin?
No. Sorry, I've got all sorts of comments and possibilities I could throw at Barry here, but I'm not. I'll keep them quiet.
Come on, bring them.
No.
But in the private chat.
I don't want to get into another fight. I had one last week with Darren, so I'm.
No, we didn't have a fight. We had a discussion, Kevin.
That's what we did. That's right.
Darren's top still covered in blood from the exchange.
See, I jumped on a flight. Nobody knew about it.
I couldn't have any more. That's what it was. You don't have to be a coach to know about football, mate. I didn't like when you said that.
Darren's
anyway.
Still got the top on from last week, Kev, with the blood all over it.
No, well, it's a Bobby Robson derby, so a little bit of a soft spot for Ipswich. Unfortunately, they've had a rough run of it, but outside of that, I think, like I said earlier, it's going to be a springboard for, like Alan said before the question was, of a mini season in the back end of it for 5 games. Unfortunately for them. For us, it's a perfect chance to respond from the Villa result. I think we'll 4 or 5-0. To be honest, I think we'll take them to town. I think we'll wipe the floor with them. To be honest, I think they're low on confidence. They're fighting for everything, yes, but I just don't think they haven't got the quality. Arsenal had a field day yesterday. Granted, down to 10 men, slapped them 4. Didn't even look like they got out of first gear. I think we need to do the same.
Okay. Your prediction, Pablo?
I'm going to go 3-1. I'd like to think with what we've just witnessed this weekend, there might be a bit of, I don't know, game management, squad management. I'm hoping there might be a couple of changes here. If we have, I think we have, Kev's right, we have got the quality to blow them out of the water, but there isn't a need to blow them out of the water. I'd maybe like to see a couple of changes here and there, and maybe like you say, maybe Dubravka in there, maybe just some fresh legs and beat them. But we don't need to go putting on super shows on Saturday just because we've been beat. It's about 5 games and managing them 5 games as best we can. So for me, a 3-1.
3-1. Okay, Jeff.
Yeah, well, it's the Bobby thing, isn't it? I'm quite fond of Ipswich, and it'd be a shame to see him go down. Good old tractor boys. I think we're going to beat them probably 3 or 4. I can't see them necessarily scoring. And I think various members of the team have got a point to prove. So I think it'll be a fairly convincing game. And a big up for the coaching and the fitness guys and the whole coaching team that makes the football we do possible. I don't think they get praised enough for the sort of stuff that goes on in the background. Because, as you say, we're remarkably lucky in not getting many injuries compared to most teams. There's not our little knocks anymore and stuff. It's really quite solid. So I'd like to big them up and wish a speedy recovery to the boss, who we've forgotten about today. Yeah, may get well soon from all of us.
Okay, Tom, your prediction?
Well, I think we're going to beat them handily. I disagree with a couple of the lads on here. Our guys are going to be rested. You know what? We got a week off. We're going to go with an unchanged side. Why would you change a side that has got 15 out of 18 points, right? This is a winning side. They just played too many matches last week. So I go with an unchanged side. And if I have one criticism, I think of Eddie and Jason Tyndall is that I think a lot of their substitutions are kind of predetermined. This is who I'm going to substitute for at this time. And I wish they'd be a little bit more flexible and see the ebb and flow of the match and watch the players that actually need to be substituted off where you can have more of an impact coming in. So I go with an unchanged side, but if Isaac is slow, or not hitting it like he is, whether he's carrying an injury or whatever, why not Gordon there? Right? Why would you put Barnes on the right and take Jacob out? Murphy, that substitution has been shit. I'm just saying right now. Barnes does nothing on the right. He hasn't made any impact from there. And if you're going to make a change, you want to do it with an impact. So I'd say an unchanged side, and then I don't want these changes to these substitutions to be predetermined. That at 65 minutes we're going to put Barnes on the right and bring Gordon in on the left. No, let's watch the match, and everybody on that squad can play one match a week and be very, very good. We've seen it, we know it. Last week was just one match too far, so unchanged side, and I think it's going to pay big dividends with a 4-0 win.
Okay, Tom. Darren.
Well, sadly, George. I'll say last week, George on the Wednesday had a pint and a half of Coke, so he has to see him again. but we might win another 5-0. So that's the key. George have plenty of Coke before the match. So I fancy 4-0, and I would drop Bruno. And after his performance against Villa, I would drop him.
Big call.
But I'm sorry, but you've got to be ruthless in this game. He didn't play a good mate against Villa.
I'm not saying you're wrong by any means. I think it's.
I know. I'm just saying my opinion. He didn't. He was shocking against Villa. He looked leggy. But I fancy 4-0. But I will be done by Georgie's Coke. So.
Who would you play instead, Darren?
I'll play Miley.
Right.
I'll play Miley.
Okay. Barry, you can make a prediction, and maybe this could be a new part of the show where your puppet makes a prediction.
I'm scared to press him, Steve, because he swears a lot. Anybody who knows the character, he's got some rather.
So it is a Darren doll.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's where Ian's gone. He's now a puppet.
Oh, bless them. I think we'll turn them over. I think it'll be 3-0. I think Ipswich have just about given up. I don't think they're I'm trying to work out what Magnus is doing. Is that sign language or is that, I'm not good.
No, that's your 3-0, man. I said 3-0 too. Yeah.
3-0. I think Darren's right in a way. I think Bruno and Joe Linton. I think Joe Linton's carrying an injury. I don't think he's 100%, and I think Bruno could do with a break. But it's whether they've got the nerve to do it, especially with the gaffer not being there, and I don't think they will without him being there.
But he agreed with us, buddy, for the first time this season. He agreed with us.
I know, I'm agreeing with you, Darren. But even Walter says yes, Darren. He's quite happy with that decision. But yeah, I think we'll turn them over. So hopefully the Villa might be a blessing in disguise that it gives us the kick up the arse to stop being complacent and show what we can do again.
Okay, George, we'll come to you for a prediction as well.
Steve, may I add something? You know, that year when we last made the Champions League, we made 72 points. We are exactly 13 points away from that. If I could just add that to it.
Very
so
good.
It would be perfect if we got the 13 points.
Good knowledge. Okay, finishing off with you, George, with your prediction for the weekend. I know it's early for you, but let's get one in.
Well, not really. 5-0. It'll still be 5-0 when I speak on next Friday. I can't see anything other than a heavy win for Newcastle United. It is the Bobby Robson derby, as they call it. Well, can I remind you all, the foundation of the modern Ipswich was laid by another Geordie called Jackie Milburn. The scouting system, that new training grounds, all of that was laid by Jackie Milburn. And Bobby Robson got the benefit of it all when he went into Europe. So there's a strong connection, much stronger than people realise, between us and Ipswich, and it's very historical. So I'm not happy that we'll do it, but I can't see any other outcome in football. I like the look of the centre forward that's ex-Man City guy, Delap, that we might do well looking at him. So I'm looking forward to a happy weekend, and as much coke as Darren can buy, I'll sink it if we're going to win.
Just to remind everybody, that is Coca-Cola that you drink, not the other type, which could be obtained very easily from Colombian sources. Big thank you to Magnus, Alan, Kevin, Pablo, Jeff, and to Tom, Darren, and to Barry, and to Don, George, Mitchell. And thanks to you for watching. Back tomorrow with Talk of the Tune. Take care. See you
Wasn't as bad as you thought, Steve.
Big thanks to all our sponsors. Skips and Bins. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. Their website, skipsandbins.com. Contact them, www.skipsandbins.com/contact. Big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Their website, mrvickies.co.uk. Email info@mrvickies.co.uk. Telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to our fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel, UK Coach Holidays. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. 2 crew, driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels, no interchanges. Hot and cold snacks and drinks available on the coach. All excursions included. Their website, www.unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com. Telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. A big thanks to Media Arts for all the technical side of things. And if you want to listen to us as a podcast, you can find us on Sport Social Podcast Network. We're also available on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast providers. If you want to support the channel, then hit the subscribe button. We still do 7 shows a week. Hit the like button, which is the thumb underneath this video, and click share to your social media. You can also take out a monthly membership or an annual membership at nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk. For the lifetime membership,
You can pay £25 and get a pen, a beer mat, a fridge magnet, a badge and a keyring and your membership card and entry into the monthly draw. Some events coming up: 27th of June 2025, the end of season party. Beresford, Howie and Watson will be at the Tyneside Irish Centre with Joe Allen in aid of North Tyneside Age UK. You can get your tickets for that one from nufcmatterspodcast.co.uk or from Woucher. No Covers takes place at the Clooney. That's on the 29th of June, midday till 3:45, and tickets are £10 from theclooney.com or newcastlelegends.com. Northern Horizon, a Blake 7 convention, takes place on the 9th of August, 10 till 4 at the Tyneside Irish Centre. Come and meet some of the cast and crew in aid of Age UK North Tyneside Dementia. Tickets from nufcmatters.co.uk. An evening with Peter Beardsley and Chris Waddle takes place on Friday the 23rd of January 2026 at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House. You can get tickets from the box office 0844 249 1000 or from tynetheatreandoperahouse.uk. And Bad Manners are back in the Northeast at the O2 City Hall, Friday the 30th of January 2026. Tickets from ticketmaster.co.uk. And we have copies of The Entertainer's book, signed by Les Ferdinand, available from nufcmatters.co.uk.